We're back, baby. It's the charity show. I pitch your free throws because they all free. Fisher, Tasopoulos, DJ, Nikki, Snacks, Kreider. Tuesday, June 20th. The months are flying by. Does anyone else feel like this is a quick year, or is it a slow year for you guys?
No, I'd say it's a quick year. However, it feels slow sometimes when our weather in LA just constantly is gloomy. But hopefully the sun pokes out here in the summer pretty soon.
Yeah, maybe if you start singing like Annie from the movie Annie that the sun will come out tomorrow, maybe if you croon that from your window, it'll listen to you. Because New York was nice, man. I don't know what it is in California this spring and this summer so far, but New York was beautiful. But I believe tomorrow we have Rich Shea on of the Professional Eating League. You know him from Nathan's Hot Dogs. It's going to be awesome. And it's also fitting that we have him on the summer solstice. June 21st. So
super fitting. Yeah.
Super exciting. I want to talk about a lot of fun stuff. NBA draft is right here. There's been so many rumors. Dame, Zion. I saw a crazy Bam rumor today. You know, who knows what's really, but yeah. And I saw a Kyrie rumor today. A lot of fun stuff. I do want to touch on Jack Jones though. Cornerback, New England Patriots, arrested on gun charges, trying to bring guns through an airport on his carry-on. If he's convicted, he's going to be sentenced to 30 years in prison. And this is just another guy. I know people thought and lauded Belichick for finding a diamond in the rough, quote unquote, in the fourth round. But many people don't know that he had issues off the field prior coming into the NFL draft. 2018, he pled guilty to commercial robbery against a Panda Express, which should be that is a federal offense if I've ever heard one. And he served 45 days under house arrest. Belichick brought him in. He was fantastic. One of the best rookie corners last year, if not the best at times in a solid class. And now not only is his career in jeopardy, but he might be going to jail for 30 years.
Do you think when he was under house arrest, he was able to order Uber Eats from Panda Express?
I think as like a reclamation project, I haven't read the court order yet, but I think there was a possibility that he was able to get some of the deals that Panda, exemplifies on Uber Eats. I also think that it was supposed to be longer, but he got a pair of binoculars and was looking through the windows of all of his neighbors and ended up catching a murderer, a serial killer. So Jack Jones. Yeah, just starring Jack Jones. But, just again, another guy that Belichick, he's not afraid of the reclamation projects. We saw him go after with Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, Albert Haynesworth, some of the, superstars who saw him, obviously most notably with Aaron Hernandez. And this is another, I wouldn't say swing and miss, but another maybe failed attempt at, helping a young guy who had some troubles and has passed out. He unfortunately couldn't shake it.
Who was presumably going to be your number one DB for the future. I mean, the guy showed so much promise in his first season. You mentioned Aaron Hernandez, though. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they're making a scripted series, American Sports Story. Like, the American Crime Story that Ryan, what's his name?
Murphy.
Ryan Murphy does. Yeah, he's doing an Aaron Hernandez scripted series. So that'll be interesting. That documentary on Netflix, Josh, I remember you and I watched that together. It's wild. It's such a wild life story. So
we know someone who worked on that project, by the way. I don't remember who it is off the top of my head, but someone is in that project that we know.
Yeah.
Was the Ryan Murphy scripted one or the previous the documentary?
No, the scripted one.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Josh's roommate actually just
one of the players
for it.
She did for the Aaron Hernandez story?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that I didn't even know that. I guess this is really a thing. They haven't shot it yet, though, obviously, right? They're auditioning.
No, it's in casting right now. Yeah.
They've started.
They've started. We know somebody, but you just can't say who.
I don't know who it is. I forget who it is, but someone said they were filming like the football side of things at the University of Florida for the scripted show.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
I forgot.
That's crazy that they're doing that.
Well, we've always asked when we've just kind of thrown around docs that we want to see of certain eras of sports in general. We've always said between the three of us, it would be unbelievable to kind of get a peek behind the curtain as to what went down at the University of Florida during those years because of how many personalities were there on campus. Bill Zarian, Lochte, of course, the football team, Urban
I
Meyer.
wonder who
Those
they're
guys.
casting Tebow.
I think he plays himself. He looks young still.
I don't think he plays himself.
Why? You don't think he'd do it?
Probably not.
Yeah, I didn't know that I didn't even know my roommate was auditioning for that. That's crazy. I mean, that docu series was nuts. That was a really crazy watch. I don't know who they're going to get to play him. That's a really serious role and heavy role. But yeah, that's a really good thing to bring up. I didn't realize they were doing that. Wow. And I think we're getting a documentary on the Florida team too, coming up in the summer, which is obviously something we've been clamoring for a number of years. All right. Speaking of college kids, NBA draft, couple days away. Dame, let's start with Lillard and let's work our way to Zion. What do you guys think is going to happen with Lillard? Is he going to get moved? Or the Blazers going to move the third pick? In NBA Twitter, you kind of got to feel it out and see what you want to believe and trust who you want to trust. I've seen that Dame wants them to move the third pick for a superstar, which makes sense. And we here have collectively, I think, come to the agreement that they should move Dame and hit the restart button. So I just want to, in 48 hours ahead of the draft day, where do you guys stand? What are your thoughts, your predictions on what could happen in Portland?
I think that's more likely, honestly. I mean, just what superstars are readily available to be moved right now?
Yeah.
Who could you get for the third pick? One, and then two, what teams are ready to ship off their superstar for the third pick? And there's not really many. All the superstars are on good teams right now, for the most part.
That's true. Toss?
Good point. Yeah, I mean, I believe what Damian Lillard has said thus far. I don't know why I wouldn't. And I think until they make the decision on whether or not they're going to draft a guy or they find the offer that they're satisfied with, Dame is on this team and he wants to be in Portland and nothing's really changed in regards to that. And yeah, if you can, but we were talking about it on our AMP show yesterday where, there's been some floating of the third pick to the Wizards for KP and whatever else pieces you could get in that. Mm-hmm. And is that enough? Right. Like, I think candidly, you look in the mirror with that team and you're not incredibly excited. KP has been playing good basketball. He played really good basketball last year for Washington, but I don't, it's Dame, it's Simons, it's KP, it's Jeremy Grant. You still have the same issues that you've had with that roster for the last 7 years. You don't have enough defense. So that's the big kind of glaring just fallacy of this team. But I'm with what you said before, it makes sense for them to shop him. But if they do that, then they are admitting defeat and leaning further into the rebuild and building around Shaedon Sharpe and Simons. And at that point, take whoever's there. If it's Brandon Miller, if it's Scoot Henderson, you're okay with either of those. Honestly, I think if Scoot Henderson doesn't go to the Hornets at 2 and he's there at 3, you might as well just trade Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. Like, sell high on Simons. I like the backcourt of Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe going forward. You don't want Simons and Scoot or Scoot and Dame. Like, we've already seen that lack of size in the 1-2 position for this team and for other teams that have had 2-guard systems doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Not in the modern NBA, especially when neither of those guys are elite defenders. So that's kind of how I feel about it, but they have options. And that's the one thing about that team that, is a little bit more hopeful than who I was talking about as their trade partners with the Wizards. They have a lot more options in Portland as to what they can do, but I don't see them scraping together a team that at the best is a 5 or a 6 seed in the West and not a true threat to be a contender for getting through the West and getting to the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Jeremy Grant, free agent. They have Nurkic's contract. But outside of that, the only guys they're really tied to are Simons and Lillard. And I think we've all become big proponents that if you're going to hit a full restart, getting out of these cumbersome contracts or bigger contracts, that are on your books, is a great way to initiate the rebuild. So if that means packaging Nurkic and Simons to get out of both contracts and hit that restart, that's helpful. Moving Damian Lillard to the Heat seems very attractive to me. I know that I heard a rumor that they were trying to put a package together rather than trade Dame to Miami, but to acquire Bam Adebayo, which I don't think is feasible at all, nor do I think bringing Bam to Portland makes them better than the Nuggets, the Suns, and even what we just saw and discussed yesterday, the Lakers and Kings, Warriors, all these teams that we've listed, so on and so forth. And I think you're right, Alex. Any way you slice it, keeping Damian Lillard there, any trade you make with that third pick, I don't foresee them being anything better than a 5th seed and a 2nd round exit, because they still have the defensive woes, still have small guards. And I think we have a lot of faith in Shaedon Sharpe, but he's not necessarily there yet from a player standpoint to take you over the edge. And we don't necessarily know if he can be a superstar. He just has the potential. So I think things are pointing to Damian Lillard. Do you guys think we see him traded on draft? Does he have to be traded on draft night if he's traded? Or could we see him in the later part of summer be moved?
I think later part of summer. I mean, I think we look at, when these big trades usually fall anyway, and I don't think it happens that often on draft night. You remember the Paul George thing happened on 4th of July, and that's like the big one that comes out to me because that's my team. But I feel like you rarely see superstars get moved on draft night. You see a lot of like pick swaps and stuff like that, and like a lot of like, bench guys and, a lot of like tertiary pieces get moved around. But I don't think you're going to see a huge splash this year.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. It's also worth noting that I don't necessarily want to say this is a bluff by Damian Lillard, but it's not just the pick that has to fall into place for him to evaluate the team from his angle, right? Like you mentioned, Josh, Jeremy Grant is an unrestricted free agent. You need to see if you're bringing him back to be your starting 4 or starting 3, whatever, if you want to run a big lineup out there. You need to see what other free agents, your front office is willing to take stab at, and who they're willing to go after. And I could even see them drafting someone with the 3rd overall pick, not trading it, and him still staying on the team, because we know his loyalty to that city. And I'm not unconvinced that if they are to have a sit down with him, they're not going to be able to sway him to stay with that team and stay with that rookie that they bring in with the 3rd overall pick, if they end up drafting someone there.
Buy or sell that the 3rd overall pick is going to be Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson going to Charlotte at number 2. Based off what we heard from the workouts, we discussed it on our Amazon show yesterday. You asked me who I think should go there. I thought Brandon Miller was a nice fit, starting with Mark Williams and LaMelo Ball. After I went through the first 5, shot that down. And I do agree that I think it'll ultimately be Scoot Henderson versus, maybe not. And he could also obviously be a great fit against LaMelo Ball too, who's a very sizable guard. If Brandon Miller is the pick, does that entice Lillard more to stay?
It should. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think about a lineup where if you do re-sign Jeremy Grant and you figure out, maybe you go after, you move off of Nurkic's contract and you go after a guy like Jakob Poeltl, who could step in there, and he's additive on the offensive side just as a rim runner. He doesn't need post touches, but he's way better at protecting the paint than Yusuf Nurkic is. A big who can actually stay on the court, stay healthy, rim protect, and also rebound. And Nurkic has never given you that. And I think at this point in his career, he's more of a spell center coming off the bench, Enes Kanter type, where it's like, go in, play 12 to 15 minutes, get your offensive boards, put some pressure on them, score, 10 to 14 points, and then get off the court, because you can't defend. He can't be their starting 5 if they end up drafting Brandon Miller. But if they go get Poeltl, if they get Miller, if they re-sign Jeremy Grant, and then you have Simons and Lillard, it's still, in my opinion, like not enough. But again, I think it's a competitive 5-6 seed, and maybe it's a fun run, and that's all you can ask for. That's all you've gotten in Portland anyway for the last 8 years. So while you have Dame and he's still operating at the capacity that he is, why not keep going with it, I guess? But that's me not involved in those decisions. And if I were, I'd want to mix things up.
Yeah. We touched on the Pels. We touched on Zion. that is the title. The Pelicans must trade Zion of our stream right now. Do you guys feel the same way as I do? I feel like it's time for them to move on as well. They've been in trade rumors with Brandon Ingram. They've been in trade rumors with Trey Murphy, who had a really nice second half of the season. And they've obviously been in trade rumors with Zion Williamson. Do you guys think that they move off any of these guys? Do you think they should move off any of these guys? Do you feel as strongly about Zion being moved from the Pelicans as I do?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about as strong as you do, but I mean, I think it'd be good for both sides just to get a change of scenery and just to kind of, let bygones be bygones. It didn't work out, and see what you can get. I mean, there's still a lot of value there. He's a young guy, but just have to make do with it, I guess.
Toss?
Yeah, I'm out on that. I think in no scenario should you trade that guy. Not right now. Not while there's plenty of time for him to turn things around. I don't know why you would make a move off of a talent like that. And I understand that he hasn't been able to stay on the court, but it's a rare scenario where you get to go draft a guy at 1-1 and have your choice of who you want to build your franchise off of. And then to just like whatever you can get in your return, whatever healthy version of the player that you're getting back or multiple players that you're getting back, they're not a top 15 player in the NBA. And that's what he is when he's on the court. And so I would still take the gamble on working with him off the court with the trainers to get him in the best shape for him to stay healthy and to stay out on the court. And keep the core of him and Ingram and McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas, who you have on a very favorable contract. And those wings that I really, really like. Herb Miller, who we got to talk to before he got drafted. And then, of course, Trey Murphy. I would keep that core intact if I'm the Pelicans. You look at what that team did when they were healthy and they were right last year. And this is not a Blazers situation. When that guy is right and he's on the court, this is a top 3 seed in the West, in my opinion. And they have a lot to learn, and they still need to get to the playoffs and get that experience. That's something that this team does not have outside of McCollum. But I don't know why you would shake that up. I don't see the offerings being enticing enough. Like, it's a complete redirect of your franchise.
Yeah, it is. But like, do you think the direction of your franchise with his contract, with his injury history, you have not seen enough of, like, the guy's played his second season, he played 60 games. His first year, he barely played. His third year, he didn't play at all. And last year, he played 29 games. Now he's got – I don't think these off-the-court issues are detrimental, but they are a little like just another – it's a little salt in the wound, especially – I don't know if you guys saw this, but one of the women threatened to – a nice catch there, dude. One of the women today threatened to release a sex tape.
What do you mean one of the women? It's the same woman. It's Mariah.
And there was two women, no?
Yes, but the one that has been just
the most vocal,
all of the conversations in vocal. Yeah, do you know what that is called, Josh? From a legal standpoint, it's called
extortion and blackmail. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just simply saying, like, she's gonna do it. Yeah, I'm not rooting for her. I'm not on her side.
I'm honestly pretty unbothered by the off the court stuff.
I am too.
Okay, cool. I'm not like, it's not as bad as Ja or Jack Jones, as we mentioned earlier in the show. But I think it's definitely something that's in there, and that's definitely, it's more of his narrative has been his injury, his weight, and now a potential sex tape being released than his play on the court.
I mean, Jamal Murray had a little sex tape get released, and he was fine.
Yeah, but Jamal Murray wasn't a top 15 player in the league. He had been healthy up until his injury, had proven that he was good in the playoffs, going to the Western Conference in the finals in the bubble. And Zion Williamson hasn't been, he's hypercritical. Like, he was the first overall pick. He was the prince that was promised, and he's barely played. Like, everything potentially negative that swarms around you is going to be spun and analyzed when you can't stay on the court. If he was playing, it would be no issue. Like, no one would care. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, whatever he wants to do in his personal life, whoever he wants to hook up with, let it rock. Like, it is what it is. Like, that's not part of his contract. is being monogamous. But
It's true. Yeah.
I think that, to me, he's become such a circus. And while it is a major change in your path, if you can get a guy like Scoot Henderson for the second overall pick and move Zion to Charlotte and get out of his money and get a top tier talent like that, I don't see an issue.
I'm really big on Scoot. Really, really big. It's not like we haven't seen Zion play NBA basketball before.
He's amazing. I'm not saying he's not amazing. I'm just saying he doesn't play.
I agree he has missed way too many games, but this is not a Greg Oden situation. This is not a Chet Holmgren situation where like we've not seen what this guy can do. We haven't seen, all things considered with Scoot Henderson, we haven't seen him play NBA basketball yet. I really like the guy. I think he's incredibly talented, but to completely like rewrite the potential history of your franchise for the next 5 to 7 years, when you have a guy who you picked at 1-1, who was a more touted prospect than Scoot Henderson,
for sure,
is an incredibly drastic decision. And I feel like in a vacuum, you wouldn't trade Zion Williamson for Scoot Henderson. And I don't think that Charlotte team has enough to offer up in addition to the second overall pick to make me enticed, if I'm the Pelicans, to feel like, okay, where we were last year when everything was right is where we can be back to with this trade. You're not. You're saying we're going to be between the 6, maybe the 5 and the 12 seed for the next 4 years. Is that what you want?
You don't think Scoot's the type of player that can make that jump?
Well, it's an assumption. I know what Zion Williamson looks like when he's on the court. That's not an
true.
assumption.
Let's play the assumption in potential game here.
But why would you can't?
That's what you're doing when you're drafting guys. You're drafting under the assumption that he becomes a superstar. So let's say the assumption's right. Let's say Scoot Henderson pops off like we think he can. John Morant.
Yeah, but one is a certainty and the other is an assumption. Like one is a certainty that you have at your disposal. You know what that guy looks like.
But it's also an assumption that he's coming back.
That he's coming back? What do you
fully
mean?
Healthy. Like there's no certainty that he's coming back fully healthy. We're just assuming that he is.
You have more control over that than you do over a guy being a perennial all-star and superstar in the modern NBA.
If he play, yeah, but if he plays, I'm almost more enticed by a way lesser contract, a way smaller financial commitment than a guy who now he's signed for 4 more years.
I think
that contract goes to 30. It's nothing to do with his play. The contract goes to 36, 38, 41 in his last year, $44 million.
Yeah, I think you're also. I challenge you to consider the marketability of a guy like Zion Williamson and what that means for the business of a franchise in comparison to a guy like Scoot Henderson. Even with all the off the court issues, it's not comparable.
But do you think he's brought so much positive attention for this team in the last 365 days?
He certainly brought a lot of attention. I mean, do you want your team to be talked about? Do you want people to show up to the arena? Do you want jerseys to be sold? Like at the minute you send this guy to Charlotte, you no longer have that business asset. Forget about the asset of him playing on the team.
Yeah, it's gone. And I hope he has a great career. And I hope, look, if he stays in New Orleans, I hope he plays 60-something games next year. And I hope we get to see what we thought, because I thought they could be a top 3 seed going into last year. And I hope we see that. But I just, based off the track record, don't think we will. And I don't think that's that hot of a take. And now the issue is it is a different situation than the Greg Oden situation, because now you've paid the guy.
Well, he's also played a lot more than Greg Oden did.
How many games did Greg Oden play in his first 4 years? 80 something.
Let's look it up. Greg Oden also, his career high in points was 24 points. So slightly different. I think you also you have to.
There's nothing to do with him as a player, bro. Nothing. Greg Oden played 82 games in his first 2 years. Zion's played 114. It's not that drastic of a difference. It's just not that drastic of a difference. They're both career high at 61 games. I really want him to succeed. I'm just simply saying and I know you're 100% right on the marketing standpoint. You're not going to replicate that. We've seen it already. The prize piece is Wembanyama. And Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller are second tier as far as marketability in this draft. But up until John Morant's antics on Instagram, he had challenged Zion from a marketability standpoint, and in some cases almost superseded him.
Okay, that's not Scoot Henderson, so I don't necessarily know why that should
It could be.
Sway the Pelicans to.
But it could be if you're taking him as second overall and you're getting additional stuff from the Charlotte Hornets.
These are all unknowns, though. You just like, I'm not even saying that you're going to be wrong about these. You just don't know.
Yeah, and I'm saying I don't know if he's going to come back healthy. And I personally.
But what do you have more control over? What are you paying team physicians, team developmental coaches, team psychologists for? Do you trust the people that are in? Like, what's the point of even having an organization if you don't trust the professionals that you've brought into a front office and to a team if they can't support a player enough to get him back on the court and to get him into a place where you have the confidence in him that he can be one of the best players on this team alongside Brandon Ingram?
He's played 29 games in the last 2 years. I'm not the front office.
You didn't answer my question whatsoever there.
My confidence is zero, dude. Like I have zero confidence in getting him on the court, or little. No one's been able to do it.
Okay.
I'm just. I'm not saying I'm not saying my way is right and your way is wrong. I'm just simply telling you how I would approach it. I would go after Scoot Henderson. I would trade Zion. I'd get that contract off my books. I'd run the risk with another top 3 pick.
Okay.
What else we got?
we got some baseball. We got a little more NBA because Harden and Draymond Green has become available. Do you think both those guys go back to Philly and Golden State respectively?
No.
Where do you think Harden and where do you think Draymond go, Nick?
I think Harden maybe stays in Philly. I think Draymond's gone.
Wow. Do you guys have anywhere specific you'd like to see him play other than Golden State?
Can Boston afford him?
No, I think we'd have to move a lot of contracts, but that's interesting. Atlanta could move some contracts and try to bring him in. Maybe in a sign and trade with the Hawks to get John Collins over to Golden State and some stuff over to Golden State and Draymond over to Atlanta. Lakers.
That'd be interesting.
You're out on that, Nick? You don't want Draymond to Los Angeles?
I like him going. I like the Hawks. I like maybe someone like the Magic. Like I like young teams where he could kind of go in there and like launch a defensive identity for a team and really turn them into a team that can compete for the future.
Do you think there's a world in which Ayton and him get swapped?
No. Maybe he wants to go to the East Coast so he can be 3 hours ahead. So whenever he records his podcast, he can release it earlier.
Honestly, it is a good point. What about, okay, let's say operating with that in mind.
That's a great point.
Do you think that if Miami strikes out with Lillard, they could revert their attentions to Draymond? Or does he not necessarily fit for you guys?
I don't think he fits.
I think Bam and he do a lot of the same things.
Okay.
Defensively and offensively.
What about the Knicks?
Move Randall for Draymond and Kuminga? Because I think Randall's got a higher value. He's younger, I believe. Let me double check that before I just start throwing numbers out there. And he's obviously
he's definitely young. He's definitely younger for sure. He's not 30 yet.
No, he's 29. He's 28, and Draymond is 33.
33. Yeah.
Yeah,
I still feel like the Knicks left some to be desired on the offensive end when I watched them in the playoffs with the Brunson and RJ and Randall and the lack of flow and just kind of creativity on the offensive side. And I don't necessarily know if they have the right shooters paired alongside Draymond if they were to bring him in to make things really, really work. Like I think spacing and shooters is when he comes into play and he can really operate in that high post area as a creator in the pick and roll with whoever's the primary ball handler. And while he would work well with Brunson, it's not like when he rolls on pick and roll situations, he's a real threat to score. And I think that's when you're talking about an undersized guard like Brunson, like that's what you need. And that's why Mitchell Robinson is a really good fit there. But I mean, that would also be chaotic. Like having him and Tibbs, who likes to have a really like firm hold on just like the identity of his team, especially on the defensive side. Draymond would come in there and really shake things up.
What about Philly? With Tobias Harris going back to Golden State, something you bring Harden, you have Draymond, Harden, maybe PJ Tucker, and Tobias Harris over to Golden State, and Draymond, nothing for you.
None of these situations like entice me from the Warriors' perspective.
Okay. What about?
I agree with Nick though. I like Harden to stay in Philly. I don't know if he personally is going to want to do that, but I think it's the right move. I think the Western Conference is getting so cluttered up that like unless he just has lost the competitive edge of trying to vie for a championship and just wants to go back to Houston and live out his days in the H at the bottom of the map and just chill fat and score 25 points per game and play with a bunch of young guys and go out with a bunch of young guys, like all the power to him. But if he wants to, I mean, if he wants to try and win a championship, I think the 76ers are his best shot. Now they have to do things to get them ahead of the Bucks and ahead of the Celtics and ahead of the Heat in my mind. But the path is way more clear there than in the West.
What if the Bucks lose out on Brook Lopez? Could the Bucks get Draymond?
Feasibly, that's an interesting thought. I like him paired next to Giannis, doing some of the dirty work, so Giannis doesn't have to, go 110% on the defensive side of the ball every possession. But again, like he's not a rim runner, so he can't just sit on the weak side and catch lobs if Giannis draws a lot of attention when he drives, and he's not a great three-point shooter. So he's not like Bobby Portis who can hit from the corner. He's not like Brook Lopez who can hit from the three. He doesn't work as well for their offense being driven by the engine that is Giannis. So I don't know if it's a better fit than what they have right now.
All right. Well, I don't know if your Mavs would be interesting. There's a lot of, I'm curious to see what he does. Maybe, Dylan Brooks is leaving Memphis, as it seems that they could be interesting to bring him in. I don't know if Golden State would let him stay in the Western Conference if they had their way and weren't involved in any capacity, and they'd probably push for the Eastern Conference. But he's definitely a very interesting name to watch. Someone could steal him, and let's transition to baseball. Esty Ruiz on pace for 80 stolen bases for the first time since 1988, which Ricky Henderson did that.
And who has a future? Who has the future?
It's a really good bet, dude. It's a really good bet, dude. So that and the Bichette bet are excellent bets.
Strider?
He's still leading, right? My only caveat with you is he's getting shut down, and he's looked pretty bad.
Yeah, but he's still striking out people.
He is still striking out people.
I mean, he's got a 6 strikeout lead right now on Gausman, so almost a full game's worth of strikeouts, and he's got 14 less innings than Gausman.
Yeah, I mean his start was unbelievable, but he's definitely slowed things down. And his strikeout numbers are awesome, but he's got a 4.12 ERA. His whip's jumping up there. There are guys I think could catch him. While I think it's obviously a great position to be in with him leading, I weirdly don't think it's as strong of a bet as Bichette, who's 2 hits behind Arias, who when I thought he was going to fall with his 378 batting average, he jumps back up to 400, which is just insane. And your 6 lead stolen base with Esty Ruiz over Acuna. No one's stolen 70 bases. This is trivia. It's a little hard. Since 2009 was the last time someone stole 70 bases.
Michael Bourne.
Great guess, but no.
Reyes.
Great guess, but no.
If you give us the team, does it immediately give us who the person is?
I'll Billy give you Hamilton. No, really good guess, but no. He was in the AL.
Do we know this guy?
Yeah, you know him.
Is he on the White Sox?
No. Was your guess going to be Scotty Pod?
Nah. That would have been a lot for him.
Carl Crawford.
Really good guess, but no.
Good guess. Good guess. Pierre.
Great guess, but no.
Damn.
This guy, he stole 50 the year before, 70, and then he
Jacques Jones.
no, that's a little late for him. AL East.
Okay.
Is he a Yankee?
He what? Well, not when he did. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That guy could swipe bags.
And we might get two. We might get two guys that hit 70 this year.
Yeah. You asked me, Nick, what would Arias have to do to win the MVP? And I said hit 400. If Acuna hits 30 something home runs and swipes 70 bags, and even if he's even to 60 bags, that would probably lock it. Hits over 300. That would probably, and the Braves the best team. That would probably do it for me.
Yeah.
Acuna. In a unanimous vote, with as impressive as it. If we saw a guy go for 30, 60 and a guy go for 400 in the same season, I think that would be
and a guy who goes for 50 home runs and 250 strikeouts.
It would be the greatest statistical season I've ever seen in baseball. Better than any McGuire, Sosa, better than Bonds going for breaking McGuire. I think across the board, to me, that would be more impressive.
Yeah, it'd be pretty wild.
Pretty wild. All right, you guys ready for our games?
I predict next year Tatis will go 50-50.
If he plays a full season.
If he plays full season. No injuries, no suspension, nothing. Full
None
season.
at all. What about like a week off?
Like
2 weeks off or something like that?
When I mean a full season, I mean like, having not missing significant time. 50-50.
Yeah. How many games? How many games does he have to play?
Like 140.
I'm not going to debate it. It's tough.
He has 14 right now. He missed the first 20 games. I mean, I'm not saying he's hitting, an extra 14 home runs to catch Ohtani, but he's stealing more bases. He's running wild right now too.
He is on pace right now. He's played 52 games. So let's just say we triple that and he plays 156. He'd be on pace for 42 home runs and he'd be on pace for 36 stolen bases, which would be pretty remarkable. Not your 50-50, but a shot at 40-40, which would be absolutely insane. 50-50 would be a top 5 statistical season I've ever seen in my life in baseball. I think that's unheard of. That's never been done before.
Get ready.
I don't even think a 30. I'd have to see a 30-60 season.
He's the type of player too that like knows that it's not a thing, and he wants to be the one to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a very good point. Yeah, I think we'll hold you to that. I mean, I would love to see that. Toss and I did a schedule breakdown of the Bears, and we're going to go in reverse order leading to the NFL season. We'll get some college teams in there to mix it up, Nick.
Did you guys see the whole Father's Day thing with Jordan Love saying Happy Father's Day to all the Bears fans out there? So some people are like, oh, he didn't hold back, but he totally said that wrong. He's basically saying that the Bears are his father. Right?
I'm pretty sure I don't
your dad doesn't say Happy Father's Day to you. You say Happy Father's Day to your dad. So you're saying Happy Father's Day to all the Bears fans out there. Whose dad are they? The Packers? Is that what you're trying to say?
Could be a bad omen for him going forward.
I saw that was blown out of context and that initially he was with a Bears fan from Germany or something. And the guy was like, say Happy Father's Day to all the Bears fans. He was doing it to be a nice pro, basically. And then it totally got tblown out of proportion and out of context. And they made it look like he was saying that he's the father of all the Bears fans.
That's media for you.
Yeah.
I saw Jair Alexander really hype him up though. And obviously you want to hype your quarterback up, but I think a lot of guys are believing in Jordan Love.
Packers do.
Yeah. Which, obviously we're rooting for guys. All right. Two more games for you guys.
Jordan Love.
We have Pelicans not trading Zion. Someone wrote in our comments. I'll agree with you, but I would like to see it nonetheless. Okay. The team today is the Houston Texans. If we could get to our other game, great. But we're going to rock with this one. You guys are going to predict their record. If you agree, awesome. If not, I am the tiebreaker. Can everyone see it here? I'm going to zoom in a little more.
So we're going in reverse order of how bad the teams were. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what we're doing, Nick.
So Bears are the worst team in football?
They had the first pick last year. I'm going reverse standings order.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
You mean
not from like what I think.
You're going not in standings order. You're going from just draft.
Yeah,
But the Bears didn't have the first pick last year.
They traded it. They traded the pick. They ended up with the worst overall pick because the Texans won that game at the end.
Yeah,
of the
you're
season.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
already.
Hey, that was last year. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's late. Happy Tuesday. Let's get to the Texans. Okay, week 1 at Baltimore.
Loss.
Toss.
L for love.
Okay, cool. Week 2 home versus Indianapolis.
Loss.
Toss.
Loss, but I hesitated.
Okay, you guys overruled. At Jacksonville.
Loss.
Loss.
Home versus the Steelers. Mike Tomlin. Can he flick it?
Loss.
Loss.
At the shout out to their families.
Win.
Ooh.
Loss.
I'm gonna go with a loss. Home versus New Orleans.
Loss.
Loss.
Come on, are they gonna win a game this year?
We'll see. At Carolina.
Loss.
Loss.
Wow. Okay.
I just feel weird that I've picked them to lose. What are they at? Is it 7 games in, right?
0-7.
Yep, they're 0-7 right now. I got it.
Yep.
So we were at home versus Tampa.
Win.
Dub.
Okay, there we go, guys. We're on the board. At Joe Burrow's town.
Loss.
Win. I'm kidding.
Okay, Jesus. Home versus is the Arizona Who's?
Win.
Win.
I agree. Home versus is the Jags.
Loss.
Okay. Home versus the Bronchies.
Win.
Loss.
I'm going to go with the win. I think they squeak one out. I'm not high in the Broncos. At New York.
Loss.
Loss.
At Tennessee.
Loss.
Win.
I'm going to go with a loss. Home versus Cleveland.
Loss.
Loss.
Home versus Tennessee.
Win.
Win.
At Indianapolis.
Win.
Win.
5-12, fellas. Okay.
It's improvement from last year.
It's an improvement from last year. We had the Bears at 7 wins. We have the Texans at 5 wins.
I think I saw on most books the over-under for the Bears wins of 7.5. So should feel pretty good about what we picked with their schedule.
Let's go to Bet Online. Check out the over-under for
Let's go betonline.ag today. Place all of your bets.
So we have them beating the Titans once, the Colts once, the
Broncos.
Buccaneers, the Broncos. You were the swing vote on that one.
I was a swing, and the Cardinals.
And the Cards.
Josh the swinger.
Swingers Anonymous. All right, we still have time, guys.
Until team wins. Hold on, I want to look up their over under really quickly. 5. I think 5 is their 5.5 is their over under.
Wow. We made them. Let's make these bets.
So we're cynics, I guess, right now.
We are cynics. We'll keep track.
A couple of unders, just shy.
You guys ready for this game? I've already done it, so I'm not going to participate, but I will write for you guys.
Okay.
I think you're going to like it. We have a couple minutes here. It is called, we've played it before, the Immaculate Grid.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
wait, also a Gold Glove and 100+ RBI batting season. Wow.
So you have to match a player to the grid. So a Mets player with 100 RBIs, a Diamondback player with a Gold Glove. That's how it stands.
Oh, that's really hard.
It's hard.
We got it, Nick. We can do it.
I individually went 8 of 9. You only have 9 guesses, so if you mess up, you mess up.
Okay. Is there
So where do you
time
want-
or no?
Well, we have a few minutes left here in our show, so that's the time. We'll go 2 minutes.
Nick, Chris B. Young played on the Diamondbacks and the A's, so that's correct, right?
No. I don't think so.
Chris Young? He did.
Did he?
Yes. The hitter did.
You just type in Chris Young.
I don't want to hit the wrong one, though.
Oof. I think it's the top one. He's the younger one.
Correct, Toss.
Thank you.
Good job.
Did Eric Chavez end up playing on the Braves at any point?
I don't know, but
Jesse Chavez did, but I don't think that.
I use Eric Chavez for the Diamondbacks and the A's, just an FYI.
I also was going to throw that one out there. Did Luis Gonzalez ever win a Gold Glove in the outfield?
I feel like he had to have, right?
I'm not sure. I
obviously
obviously know he was a good hitter, but I feel like just an all-star level player like that also probably had a
he did
solid
not
glove,
have
but he
did not have a Gold Glove.
Okay.
All right, let's do Gold Glove 100 RBI season.
Okay. Well, Andrew Jones
bottom right corner, because you don't have to pick a team, right?
It could be any player ever, current or former.
We'll do Barry Bonds.
Smart.
Now they had to do it on the team. That's
Not
listed.
yes.
No, they just had to play for.
Just have one. Okay.
Okay.
So Gold Glove Atlanta. Let's do Chipper Jones. Right? Didn't he win a Gold Glove?
It's the Jones you want to go with over there?
I did say Andrew earlier. But
No, not the middle. Just Gold Glove. You're
wait, Josh, you're in the wrong. You're in the wrong one.
My bad.
It's okay.
You want to do Andrew Jones for Gold Glove?
I think it's a bit safer.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we do David Wright for Mets and 100 RBIs? Are we cool on that one, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Gold Glove Arizona. I feel like Luis Gonzalez got one.
He did not. I just looked for you guys.
Josh already checked for us, so we know that one's not right.
100 RBI season for Oakland, Giambi.
Nice.
Jason.
Do you guys want to know who I went with after I selected for you guys?
Believe host Carlos Pena?
No, I went with Miguel Tejada.
Okay. All right. Gold Glove. Man, do we think that any of their pitchers, did the big unit ever win one? Did Dan Herron ever win one?
Ooh.
Dan Herron would have been a good Diamondbacks A's as well.
Randy Johnson's a good one. Do you want to do Randy Johnson?
I'm willing to take a flyer there.
Didn't win it.
Can we get Julio Franco for Braves Mets, please? Thank you.
Wow.
One of the best batting stances in the game.
Give me Tim Hudson.
Nice.
For A's and Braves.
Braves. Great call.
Nice.
Great
Good
call.
one. For those, I'll tell you who I did I did Tom Glavine for this, and I did Matt Olson for that.
Okay.
Matt Olson, yeah, that's a good one.
I would go think current.
No, I know. I was gonna say Cespedes played for Oakland and the Mets.
I was thinking
didn't play for.
I'm also thinking of just journeyman.
Man,
the tough thing is that I just my D-backs
the D-backs now. This is hard. This is a hard one.
Did you get it?
I got this. I actually didn't get to this because I got this wrong. So I just used I burnt a guess here, and then I didn't get to use this. I was annoyed at myself though for not picking this sooner.
All right. Matt Williams, Gold Glove, Diamondbacks,
Wow.
third baseman. Shout out.
Third base coach for the Pods.
Yep. Also, I think could have been an A's Diamondbacks guy as well. Is that true?
He did not win a Gold Glove.
Matt Williams? Yes, he did. He won 4 Gold Gloves.
He probably hit the wrong Matt Williams.
No, I didn't. Oh, I thought you could.
Third baseman Matt Williams.
My bad. You're right. He did win a Gold Glove, but he didn't win it in Arizona. So I guess it's not any time. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Well, that one goes to Josh.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So tell us, Josh, who you had there.
Nick Ahmed.
Good for you, buddy. Good for you.
I know. He for this Mets Diamondbacks one, your hint is think current.
Think current. So someone on their rosters now. I mean,
think Mets.
Go through their lineup or just their positions right now. It's obviously not Pete, right? Obviously not. Frankie was just on the Guardians before he was on the Mets, right? Nowhere else. He never started in Arizona.
Eduardo Escobar.
That's a great one.
Job, Nick.
Your other option was Max Scherzer.
Oh, that's right. I try to think of myself. I was like, was Scherzer on the Diamondbacks? And he was for at the beginning of his career, very, very early.
Yeah. Good one, though. Fun one. I got that sent to me. I figured you guys we'll do it once a week. Good stuff. Gentlemen, Texans going with 5 wins, 8 out of 9 for you fellas right there, and a very fun show. Fans out there, hit your free throws. We will see you guys next time.